indoor activity. So out here it's just expensive and I'm away from home. It sucks. But I try to make the best of it. Guys like James make it a lot more palatable too. Okay.
All right, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are tuning in from. This is the Ox Billiards stream. Zach's Racks. Tonight we have Michael Johnson versus Marcello Girardi playing the WNT 9-ball format, which means you spot the 9-ball on the dot in the rack and you break from the break box. The only rule that they are not doing is all ball fouls. Other than that, standard 9-ball rules. Looks like Marcello won the lag here. He'll be breaking off first. Marcello is a 594 Fargo, and Michael Johnson a 586. You can see the odds here on the scoreboard. But I like to say that odds don't really mean anything day of. I feel like obviously Fargo gives you a rating and an ability level. But day of, anyone can get got. All right, Marcello. Pretty decent opener here. Just kind of feather this cue ball back middle table. Stay above the 4. Nicely done. This angle's a little interesting. If he draws straight back off the 2, he may barely clip the 7. Otherwise, he's going to try to find this window between the 7-6. Yeah, just didn't get enough over, but at least he gave himself a look on the 3. I kind of like just sending the 3 straight to this short rail middle diamond and then sending the cue ball to the left, because you do have the 5, 8, and 9 as blockers, and kind of just float the cue ball over. The chances of the 3 being exposed with the cue ball pretty low. This is okay too. He hit it harder, but he's getting some pretty good distance. Leaves the 3 up table. Some pretty good hides here for Michael. He wants. Yeah, didn't want the 3 to come out as much, but this is a pretty good position. A little more difficult for Marcello to do a similar safe to his previous one. Could potentially just float the cue ball into the 8, maybe make the 8. 3 ball comes to the right side of the table, sort of lower right quadrant here. Okay, yeah, he sent the 3 all the way back up table again. But this time the angle is pretty decent for Mike to be able to make the 3 in the top left corner as we're looking at the screen here. All right, opted for the safety again, but the cue ball barely leaks. So leaving Marcello open opportunity here. I feel like the 3-8 combo is in play. Just need to be careful about the cue ball. Unless he stuns this out, the cue ball has a chance of bumping the 9. Okay, so he did stun out, but because he hit it with a bunch of power, 3 ball got a little wild. But if he wants to masse, he can do that. Otherwise, pretty decent jump opportunity here. Yeah, nicely executed. Cue ball ran a little bit, but he does have a look at the 4 in the side pocket. Cue ball has a little bit of a natural roll for the 5. You may want to hit this with just a little bit of top right. Kind of float by the 9, play short side for the 5. That was going to be the risk, yeah. Running straight into the 9. Decent safe opportunity here. You send the cue ball towards, a little bit towards his left bottom left pocket, but actually closer to this lower left diamond. And then you kind of just park the 5 on the other side of the 9. It's a little touchy with the safe, but pretty good coverage. Or you do the send like this. Hide behind these top 2 balls. Very nicely done. Five ball popped out probably a little bit further than he wanted, but he did get the coverage. All right, good contact there from Mike, but does leave Marcello the open shot. I like Marcello's chances here, finishing the rack out. He does have to navigate the cue ball into a good spot for the 6. So Either playing this high right to get between the 7-6, or just to the left of the, or to the right of the 6. Yeah, nicely done. Can do a bit of a stop shot here. However, he doesn't want to land too straight on the 7. Yeah, I think if you stop shot it here, you can actually go 2 rails into position for the 9, just because of how steep the angle will be on the 7 and in the top left. Could run this 1 rail with just a little, like 11 o'clock on the cue ball, but I think there's sort of just a natural angle here. You play between 12 and 1 o'clock to get shape on the 9 for the lower left corner. Guy decides to play the top left. Lands pretty good on the 9. All right, Marcello first on the board here in this race to 9. Hey, Becca from Florida, thank you for checking out the stream. Much appreciated. Okay, 1 in the left side pocket, but cue ball in the right side. Pretty good break and a really good spread. Unfortunately, the cue ball does drop, but opportunity now here for Michael. Gonna play short side on this 3. A little bit of running English here to get the cue ball down table. Doesn't want to be perfectly straight. This is pretty good. Should be able to find the window between the 9-6 to get up onto the 4. May need to play this with just a touch of top left just to make sure that he does not bump the 9 on the way up. Okay, friendly bump there. He's in really good pocket position for the 5 after pocketing this 4. All right, straight back out middle table. Take on the 6 after this 5. Yeah, Mike's looking pretty good here. Really smooth stroke. He's finding the position he needs. Just a little bit off on the stop shot. These Rasan pockets, pretty unforgiving when you hit a little too much power into the pocket. So it's looking like a pretty good run there from Michael, but Marcello looking to clean up here. Let me know in the chat what your match predictions are. For this matchup. Nice angle here on the 8. Marcello just played this with straight top. Probably take the 9 in the exact same pocket. Cue ball going a little bit back and forth. Actually went below the 9. He landed a little funny, but should be able to take the 9 in the top right corner. These long distance shots, not as easy as they seem just because the cue ball is so close to the 9. Kind of, yeah. Yeah, they're not as easy as they seem. I feel like the distance, there's a little bit of a sort of optical illusion effect happening when your cue ball is so close to the object ball and the pocket is so distant. So Michael, after running out most of the rack, being given a little gift here as we go into rack number 3. MJ to break off. All right, dry break from Michael. I feel like with the 9 on the spot, it is harder to get a ball on the break. This rack looking a little difficult. 2 to the 3 is pretty precarious. A lot of balls in the way. He might be able to draw this cue ball just to the rail to see the 3. Angle is a little funny though, so I think he's gonna try to find this window. Safer bet than trying to find the tiny window between the 5 and the rail. Still though, not the easiest angle and window to find between the 4-7, where you're actually landing on the 3 to where it's makeable. Pretty clever approach, playing it with follow, using the rails. Actually has a really nice angle on the 3 now. A lot of MJ fans in the chat. Where are all the Marcello fans? Let's see it. Let me know your match predictions. Yeah, he kind of hit that one a little quick. Kind of had a quick pullback. Quick follow through. Ended up overcutting that 3. All right, so Michael gonna swing this one 3 rails. Hit back middle table for the 4. Overran that quite a bit, but very friendly bump on the 5. He does have a look at the 4 in the top left corner. I'm going to just roll this cue ball out, maybe 6 inches past where the 4 is at. A little bit longer, but has a pretty good angle on the 5. Hey, Danger Brow, it's got to go hill. I mean, you know, that's how we try and set things up here. Awesome for the viewers, stressful for the players, but you know, feel like players learn the most when they're being pressured. All right, Jameson in the chat saying Michael's going to win this 9-6. James Stradamus has been pretty good about the match predictions, so let's see. I do like the bank attempt here. However, he's not feeling comfortable about the leave for the 7. Yeah, he's going to play this with draw just to escape hitting the 8. Bring this cue ball down to the short rail. Okay, hit that 6 real nice. Has a look on the 7, so Michael with an opportunity. Take the first lead for him in this match. Just a little bit of a pinch drawback here on the 8. Take the 9 in the lower right corner. Opted for the stop shot, which is fine. Angle is not too steep on this 9. Nicely handled. Yeah, both players looking pretty good here so far. I think it is really going to come down to late rack mistakes. Who can take advantage when there's 4 balls on the table. All right, cue ball kind of got away on this break. Parks it in the corner. Another dry break, but everything is almost dead center table here, with the exception of the 4 and the 6. So push here from Marcello. Yeah, Danger Brow asking the real questions here. I guess I'll have to go out there for the next break. Remind them the brake pad should be used. All right, so Marcello pushes. Michael gives it back. Kind of like the kick and stick opportunity here. As long as you can keep the cue ball above the 8. I leaked out a little bit. Yeah, he's not going to like this. So there's a little too much speed there. If he hits it a little bit softer, I think the cue ball kind of squares up behind the 8. Leaves Mike pretty straight on this 1. Should be able to draw back just a little bit. Get a look on the 2. Yeah, very nicely handled. Could try to find the line where he's landing on the left side of the 3, but I really don't mind just coming down to the right side. Yeah, just like this. This way, no matter where you land, you can either go for the shot in the side pocket, or you can play safe. Pretty decent safe here, where you just miss the 3 just above the side pocket. A little bit of a stop shot. Park the cue ball right behind the 9. Just needs to make sure he doesn't hit the 3 too hard to where it kind of comes around. But he has glued that 9. Yeah, really nice save there from Mike. Ooh. Almost makes a 3 on the side. It was a good attempt. Might have got a little coverage here with the 8 too. Yeah, I like the kick opportunity here. You end up going 2 rails. You actually send the cue ball down table. Ended up with some good coverage behind the 6. Looks like Marcello may have a piece of 3. I think I still like kicking at this, though. Try to kick this into the top right corner. Unless you can see a piece. Maybe just trying to bank and hide. But yeah, it's going to leak out just a little bit. Gives MJ here opportunity. Take the 3 in the right side pocket. Cue ball will bump the 5, which should still give him a decent look at the 4. Oh, he's going to make it past the 8. Nicely done. Okay, a little bit of a 2-railer here to get back above the 5. Doesn't quite get above it, but this should be okay. You can go 2 rails here. Alright, ends up swinging it a little bit harder just to make sure he has a look on the 6. Ends up bumping the 9, but bumped it in a pretty good spot. Let's take this 9. Well, a little bit of a dealer's choice here. You can go in the side pocket or the top left corner. Kind of whatever your preference is. Looks like he is going to go into the corner. All right, Michael extending his lead 3-1 in this race to 9. Thank you all for tuning in. If it's your first time here on the Ox Billiards stream, hit that like, hit the subscribe, ring the bell as well to be notified when we go live. Do these matchup streams twice a month. This will be the last match of July. Have matches scheduled for August. Stay tuned for those. Also, any tournaments that we run here out of Ox. Hold on just 1 second.
Hey, Mike, use the brake pad. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Yep, sorry.
Yeah, we also stream any tournaments that are run out of Ox Billiards here. Pretty great club that we have here in Seattle, Washington. 8 9-foot Rassons, 1 Hey Joy table, and 4 snooker tables. So a variety of cue sports here. If you're ever in the area, come check us out. All right, a little bit of a tail of the tape here. The dry break. Just because that 9 on the spot does make it that more difficult to make a ball. But Marcello handles this long distance 1 very nice. Looks like the 4 might pass the 7 into the top right corner. I actually think that this might be one of the awkward shots, because you do have to cut this 2 with a little bit of speed to make sure it goes in. You also don't want to run the cue ball too far to where you don't see the 3, or you run it above. Nicely done. Yeah, I'm just going to make sure that the 4 passes the 7. Looks like it does go. So it plays with a touch of top right, just to make sure he falls pretty good on that 4 line. Alright, he ends up bumping the 6. This will be okay, however, he will have to kind of roll this cue ball forward now, unless he wants to do the stop shot, give himself a steeper angle on the 5. Yeah, I was able to stun it out just a little bit. Pretty good look at the 5. He could consider crossing cue ball just below the 9, taking the 6 in the side pocket. It's hard to tell. He may have barely got there. Yeah, it does look like he barely made position here. Should be able to stop shot, take the 7. So Marcello looking pretty good. Really bearing down on the pocket line here. Just wants to make sure the 7 ball hits it correctly to get the shape onto the 8. Yeah, I like this back cut to get shape onto the 9 as opposed to landing middle table and having to draw off the 8 to come cross middle table This kind of gives you a little more flexibility in terms of speed. This way too, the cue ball kind of naturally flows into that pocket line for the 9 in the lower left corner. Unless.
Nope, I gotta shoot it.
Just needed a little more right spin there. That's going to hurt. Instead of this game being 3-2, now going to be 4-1. I feel like the scratch into the side pocket off of the short rail is probably one of the most underestimated scratches. But I feel like I've been seeing it more and more. Because it's such a specific angle that you have to hit, right? To have to scratch in the side like that. A lot of the time players will land like just above the point and they'll land perfect. But every so often, you don't hit it as right as you need to. Cue ball finds a pocket. So Michael being gifted that to extend his lead here going into rack number 6. All right, he's figured out the break. 4, bottom right corner. 1 ball a little steep here, but he can swing the cue ball to get position onto the 2. Oh, blah, blah, blah. He actually, yeah, he moved the coin to mark his previous game, but yeah, it was kind of funny. Like, oh, yeah, no, I've got this ball in hand 9. All right, a little bit of a swing here. Friendly bump on the 9 ball. All right, this rack is looking pretty good. The only thing Mike needs to be aware of is cue ball path between the 5-8. Does not want to get hidden behind the 5. Needs to come out just a little bit. Oh no. Yeah. He might be able to masse in this, but yeah. He either wanted to land more middle off of that right rail or put a little more right hand English. So when it comes off the first rail, it hits closer to the side pocket and leaves him straight on the 3. Okay, may actually have a piece of this. Yeah, nicely handled. It'll land on the pocket line. Pretty nice for the 5. Doesn't need the cue ball to go too far. It's hitting the 5 pretty thick. So, kind of float follow here on the cue. Oh, he just overcuts it. But good accidental safety here. Not quite sure Marcello can back cut the 5, so may have to be kicking at this. All right, 5 ball leaks out just a little bit. Michael is pretty close to the rail here, so won't be able to do a ton of action with the cue ball. However, all he does need to do is land this cue ball on the left rail. Should have a look on the 6. Sort of a natural movement here. Doesn't want to be behind the 9. Yeah, good speed. Yeah, landed a little straight on the 7, but he can do a little bit of a stun out. Just a couple inches to our right here. Oh no, he caught the long rail first. Okay, opportunity for Marcello here. Not sure he thought he was going to get back to the table after Mike was going on a pretty good run there. Marcello will just accept taking the 9 ball in left side pocket here. All right, Marcello making a little bit of a comeback here. Down 2 games, 4-2 in this race to 9.
Should be back by the time you're back, I should be back.
All right, excellent shot on the 2 from Marcello. Ideally, wants to bump the 4 just a little bit. Oh, he went for the 3 in the top right. I actually thought he was going to go 3 top left. A little bit of a bump on the 4. But landing accidental safe here. Yeah, Jameson. Crown Apple. All right. Your boy's here in the booth. Let me know. Very nice. Ooh, almost makes it. Cue ball leaks out just a little bit. Giving Marcello a look here. All right, looks like the 5 might just barely go by the 9 ball here. He's just deciding where he wants to land the cue ball. Because he is going to need some angle to get away from the 9 and above with the 6 in the lower right. This looks pretty good. I am worried the cue ball could potentially nudge the 9. So he's going to have to hit this pretty pure. He's going to play with a little bit of bottom right just so he draws off of his left rail. Oh, he hit it so good that it went way too far. That is the problem with that kind of draw, where you just need to get some action, but you don't want to underhit it, so you end up overhitting it. And I feel like that happens fairly often when you just need to make sure you have a look. So the back cut on the 6, even though it is a little more difficult here, cue ball will run 2 rails, get back above the 7 here. Oh, I think he just hit that a little too hard. He's going to shake, rattle, and roll and park that cue ball in the top right pocket, giving a very long distance shot here for Mike. Yeah, danger. I agree. A little bit of a quick stroke there. Probably caused Marcello to just slightly miss-hit the point that he wanted. Yeah, good safety attempt here from Mike. Wanted to get that 6 tied to the short rail. But Marcello has options here. Could go aggressive, try to cut the 6 in the top left. Could do a little bit of a split safe. We send the cue ball just parallel with the 8. Cue ball to the right side of the table. Gonna do the opposite where he sends the cue ball behind the 8. Nicely done. Though, I think he leaked it. Yeah. I think Mike can see the 6. he just barely caught that. A little too thick. He did not want to bump that 7, but this is actually okay, just based on where the 8 is currently. This cut is a little steep in the side pocket, but you can all just pull back on the cue ball just a little bit. He's kind of looking like he wants to take the top right corner. I mean, you can definitely let your stroke out. Get this cue ball middle table, just above the 9. But I feel like you can kind of do the same thing, just making the 7 on the side. See, now he's overhit it. Ho, ho, ho. Narrowly escapes death here. Tough shot coming up. Okay, very nicely handled. Yeah, I found really good position. So yeah, got back in line after almost a critical error, getting from the 7 to the 8. All right, Marcello closing the gap, 3 to 4. All right, we have only had one score prediction in the chat, and that was Jameson. He said Michael was going to win 9-6. Anyone else out there, let us know what your match prediction might be. As you can see, it's already going to be a pretty close one. It was 4-1. Now it's 4-3. So neither of these guys going to go down without a fight. All right, Marcello moving to the left side of the break box. See if he can change his break up a little bit here. Dry break. 1 does go by the 7. All right, couple more predictions here. Marcello 9-7, Mike 9-7. Yeah, I think either way, it will be close. Little friendly bump on the 7 there. but lands really nicely on this 2. Can just roll forward. Doesn't want to get too close to the rail on the left, but does want to leave himself an angle on this 3. Yeah, nice pocket angle here from the 3 to the 4. Overran it just a little bit, kind of crossed the face of that pocket line. But the 4 is still makeable to the top left. Just really need to see the ghost ball here. Nicely done. Alright, so ideally comes 1 rail, lands below the 6. Takes the 6 in the right side pocket. Yeah, so the reason I like playing that with a little bit of bottom right, kind of let your stroke out, use that upper right long rail to come out and down middle table, but now he's going to have to do a back cut here to cross back, and he ends up overcutting it. Yeah, those blind pocket back cut shots, not easy. Oh, and he rattled it. Kind of, he was looking at it, decent pace while standing up. But when he got down on the shot, he shot it a little quick. There's definitely a rhythm and tempo to a shot approach. I do feel like Mike has found that cadence a little better so far. But obviously, Marcello a good shot. Within 1 of tying this up. Yeah, that one was just a little too much power. It's going to end up almost safe. Marcello could cut this 7 into the right side pocket. It's pretty steep. Basically has to hit this almost at that 90-degree angle on the 7. Otherwise, pretty decent safe opportunity where you bank the 7 between that first diamond and second diamond on the right rail, and you send the cue ball up table and back down. I worry that if he does take this 7 in the top right corner, he won't have a great look at the 8. Unless he lasers it like this. Wow. Wow. Okay, Marcello. Okay. That was pretty sick. Lands pretty close to his work here. He may be able to hit this 8 very thin and park the 8 behind the 9 while sending the cue ball up table with some top right spin. So you kind of push the 8 just behind the 9. You send the cue ball up 1, 2 rails to that top short rail. Could also be looking at the combo here. The old truffle cheese. Yeah, the truffle cheese. Ooh. What an attempt. Yeah, puts his hand in the air. Gets the accidental safe here on Michael. But kind of like the safe here. Kind of similar to the one that I was talking about a shot or two ago. You basically bank this 8 to the top short rail. Cue ball comes back down table. So it's kind of a really smooth, thin hit here. A lot of top spin. Yeah, just... Oh, he did not want to hit the point. Yeah, 8 kind of got away. Ends up on that top left diamond. He wanted to be more middle of the diamond there. Thin cut here. Don't really want to hold for the 9, but cue ball may get a little funky here. Oh, he handled this real nice. It is going to roll above. Still be able to take this in the side pocket. Now look at this middle ball. He's going to hit a little bit above center. Nicely done. Ties this game up 4-4. All right, Marcello pockets the 2. Is hidden behind the 9 ball for the 1. Likely consider a push here.
Push.
I push to the left side of the table here. Might bump the 6. Yeah, probably wanted to tie the 6 up closer to the 9, but doesn't leave an open shot here for Michael. However, some pretty decent safety opportunities with the 5-8-3 being up table. I think this one leaked out just a little bit. All right, based on this layout, 4 to the 5, 5 to the 6, even the 6 to the 7, all kind of touchy shots. So you really do need to hit your lines here. Needs to be careful about the cue ball over crossing the path of the 4. Yeah, this looks pretty good. We'll need to kind of swing the cue ball to run it 2 rails to get into the line for the 5. Oh no. This might be an unfriendly bump on the 7. Not quite sure. Yeah, may have barely blocked his pocket path on the 5. He wanted to land that cue ball just before the 7. But since he bumped it out, it did land a little funny. He opted for the distance save here. He did expose the 5, but not an easy shot here. Michael is pretty close to the short rail. A lot of distance here. Yeah, just caught that one a little too thick. So Marcello rewarded for his safety. Yeah, one thing to note, good players always try to find their leave on their next shot. He's taking his time, looking at where he wants to land this cue ball. It is middle table. Overran it. Yeah, just a little too much speed into that shot. I think one thing I'm sort of noticing with Marcello's approach is that he does look at the setup for like a good amount of time. I would say like, pretty standard. But once he's actually down on the shot, he does shoot a little quick. And that could be influencing sort of the overrunning of the cue ball. All right, really good save here from Marcello. Nice two-rail kick here. 6 came off the rail just a little hard, leaving Marcello the cut here. All right, so he misses the thin cut, gets the accidental safe. All right, misses the kick on the first go, but because played it with some inside, it actually came off the second rail, came back towards the 6, and Mike's gonna get a little bit of a lucky leave of his own after Marcello gets a couple in himself. Marcello sizing up the kick here. Decides he's going to go airborne instead. I don't mind this. With the jump, cue ball will very likely stay towards the top end of the table. 6 ball, hopefully send down table. Create a little bit of a distance save here. Oh, he was straight up just going for that. All right, rolled into kind of a fortunate location here. I do see a safe opportunity. Basically hit the 6 kind of thin. You hit the cue ball with lower left. Send the cue ball up above the 8.
Touch this slightly with my shaft, barely, like a half inch.
Did you move?
Barely at all.
Oh, it's okay.
Didn't quite get the coverage, but he did get the distance. It's a really good safe. Marcello used this little wall here of 7-9-8 to his advantage. Hides the 6 pretty nice. A little bit of a friendly-ish bump off the 7 for the 6, but did leave Marcello the shot here. 6 lower right corner. Cue ball naturally falls below the 7 here. Yeah, Marcello unfortunately overcuts the 6. But does not leave the easy pocket here for Michael. Mike could go aggressive here. A little bit of a stop shot, bank. Or you can even run this bank with follow. Try to get the cue ball back down table. Play the safe. Smart choice. Doesn't quite get there. Wanted this cue ball to land between the bottom left and middle bottom diamond, just to make sure the 9 was more in play with the obstruction. Thin cut here for Marcello. Yeah, Becca, I agree. Marcello has gotten some lucky leaves. He has acknowledged those pretty well, but they're also playing some pretty good safeties here, back and forth. Unfortunate hit here on the 8. Kind of like the one rail kick to go at the 7. Bit of a natural V to make the 7 in the left side pocket. That is what he's sizing up. Just need to be careful here. If you hit this too soft, you could hide behind the 9. Hit it too hard, you may miss it completely. So, going back to what I said, I think when it was 2-1, I think this game is really going to come down to who is making the mistake in the late rack. In this case, Marcello may be relinquishing this rack to Mike. But, you know, Marcello did win 3 in a row. Michael has been sitting at 4 for a minute now. Yeah, Skinny in the chat. Mike was up 4-1, so this will be a good win for him after seeing Marcello claw back to dead even. So Michael maintaining the lead here, going into rack number 10. Thank you all for joining us this evening. My name is Zach Ross here at Ox Billiards. Appreciate y'all's support. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Ring the bell as well to be notified when we go live. Run these challenge matches twice a month. Players of various skill levels participate. I think it's good footage for anyone that really wants to see how they play on the table. I know I've noticed some things with my own game when I get to see myself on camera, so yeah, hopefully it's beneficial. All right, Mike breaking off rack number 10. 9 ball almost gets the golden in the bottom right corner. Does make the 4 in the lower left. 1 ball just partially obscured by the 7. Not quite sure. You can kind of spin it in. Like he may be going for the cross bank here. Oh, so actually a friendly double kiss there. The 1 ball actually caught the cue ball again as it was coming out, widened that angle, manages to find coverage behind the 5-6. Very narrow window here between the 5-3 to kick to the bottom rail. Make contact on the 1. He may actually be able to make the 6 in the side pocket. Really just depends. When he hits the 1, oh, he went for the jump. Cue ball lands over here by the booth. Mike operating with ball in hand here. Doesn't want to land too far on the left side of the 3. Lands very nice. All right, the 7 to the 8 will be the key shot here. So he actually wants to land probably just like, oh no. I was gonna say I just wanted a little bit of a back cut on the 7, but he misses the 5. Pretty thin slice here into the side pocket. But the way the 6 is sitting, as long as Marcello makes the 5, he should be able to make the 6 as well. Alright, ended up catching the 7. This is not ideal, but 6 goes in the side pocket. Just hit it thin enough. Cue ball comes off the short rail. Back middle table for the 8. He's going to want some angle on the 7. Ended up taking in the bottom left. Alright, this is okay. Okay, this is a straight top, maybe just a little bit to the left between 11 and 12 o'clock. Hits that left diamond on the short rail. Cue ball comes straight down table to land on the 8. This is definitely the shot of the rack here. Oh no, it's going to scratch too. Okay, pretty good safe, given the situation he was in. I don't think Marcello will play aggressive here, but he could try to bank the 8 into the top right corner, which will leave him perfect on the 9 ball. Otherwise, you do a very thin bank. Just bank the 8 just above that 3rd diamond on this lower portion of the left long rail. Send the 8 to the top short rail. Cue ball lands middle-ish table right above the spot. Alright, so Marcello playing a little bit of a two-way here. Going for the bank, but also playing safe. Yeah, didn't quite get the safe that he wanted. He ends up leaving the old truffle cheese combination here. Not the easiest one from distance. Cue ball scratch in the side pocket is in play here as well. If he cannot get enough English below. It's a good save. Yeah, still waiting on those crown apples. Here in the booth. Jameson is in the building. I know he's listening. I can see the headphone in. Really nice bank here. Excellent bank. It's one of those shots where you just go for it. I mean, he was there. Michael Johnson. Excellent, excellent out. Extends his lead above Marcello. 6-4 going into rack number 11. Yeah, just a standard high-pressure bank shot, you know. Nothing to write home about. All right, 2 in the lower right corner. Not quite sure. Yeah, the 1 does not pass the 4 clean. Looks like it might just barely bump the top side of the 4 there. However, could kind of flick the 1 off of the 8 thin. The 1 could go in the top right. Yeah, that's what he tried to do. Just caught the 8 a little too thick. And he ends up parking that 1 right above the right side pocket. So chance for Marcello here to go on a bit of a run. 3 to the 4, pretty standard as long as you get on the left side of the table. But he ends up bumping the 7 on the path. So not the cleanest land on the 4. But still potentially good enough. Could go for the bank. Goes for the bank. Lands pretty good on the 5. Goes for the safe. Just needs to make sure cue ball is hidden by the 7. Decides to go cue ball on the other side. I did leak it. Leaked out. Looks like Mike is sizing up the bank here. ends up playing the safe. Cue ball finds a window between the 6-9. Long shot here for Marcello. Take the 4 in the top right corner. Don't really know if you want to power maneuver the cue ball on this shot. Oh, he handled that real nice. Just with the power into the top right corner, the chance of the rattle pretty high, but he hit it real pure. A little bit of a pullback here on the 5. Landed directly on the 50-yard line for the 6. Overcut in play. Just needs to be careful. Yeah, fell in a real nice position here. Be able to accept taking the 7 in the right side pocket. All right, Marcello going to take a quick player break here. All right, Marcello is back. He's on the 7. Positional play looking pretty good here. Don't really need to do a ton with the cue. You really just need to make sure this cue ball stays middle table to give you the best chance to get onto the 9. Just like a little touch of follow here. Don't need to maneuver the cue ball too much. Tangent line kind of lands you naturally on the path for the 8. So yeah, just straight follow to the top rail. Kind of already going left just a little bit. Should be able to land on the left side of the 9 to take it in the lower right corner. Yeah, he's going to land real nice. Real nice. Some may say even perfect. All right, Marcello. 6-5. We are going to take a very small player break here. We'll be back in just a moment. folks, we are back. Marcello grabbing a quick glass of water here. We'll be racking to break off rack number 12. Is race to 9. Current score, Michael Johnson 6, Marcello Girardi 5. All right, let's see all of you late match predictors. We've already had a few people chime in with what they think the final score will be, but, you know, some of us want to feel the essence of the match before they make a prediction. And here we are at the halfway point. So let me know what your thoughts are. 1 on the right side, 6 in the lower left. Really good break here from Marcello. Toilet still going with his 9-7 mic. Oh my bad, that's actually your first prediction. Nice, nice. Yeah, a few. Dean also said 9-7 Mike. Skinny earlier said Marcello 9-7. There was a 9-6 Mike earlier. Yeah, really depends. I think if Marcello break and runs here, the score will definitely be closer. Oh. Commentator's coincidence. Don't believe in the curse, but, you know, sometimes I be talking. Things be happening, so. Steph, welcome to the chat. Steph had herself a really solid match a couple weeks ago. If y'all want to check out some of the previous matches, go ahead and check out Stephanie Berman playing a couple weeks ago. She's also a really good predictor of match outcomes, so she says 9-8 Mike. You know, that could be it, but we shall see. Good save here from Mike. Leaves the 2 just a little bit exposed. Feel like Marcello can kind of float the 2 over towards the 3. He ends up hitting the 9, but doesn't quite get the coverage. Yeah, I'll only like talk too much when Marcello is shooting. That way, everybody that's rooting for Mike can get that little bit of an edge. All right, I'll be quiet now. Mike's shooting. All right, see, I stopped talking. And safe wasn't as good as he wanted, so I don't know, chat. Pretty good safe opportunity here. Goes for the bank. Oh no, the 9 ball just barely obscuring this 3. No, Jesus is not here. Jesus Atencio. Toilet. Alright, catches that thin. Alright, if Mike can barely send this 3 by the 8 and park the cue ball right on top of the 8, that'll be pretty slick. I think he can barely do it, so we'll see. Yeah, nicely done. Wanted to glue the cue ball to the 8, but you know, this is good. He's going to force Marcello to kick here. Pretty perfect V. This is one of those kicks that is actually really ideal because it is sort of a perfect V. But he just hit it too hard. Now, me sort of entertaining the high cheese here. The pinky's out, you know, high cheese. Yeah, the 4-9. At first he was setting the cue ball up like, oh, I'll make the 3 on the side, shoot the 4 on the top right, but I feel like just floating this cue ball just above the 4, take that bubble gum cheese. Overran it. I think I would have just shot the 3 straight up into the top left. That way you have a little bit more control on the cue ball. But I think he's still going to go for this. No, he ends up going for the corner. Interesting. It was kind of a free swing at the 9. Because if you end up... I mean, the 4 would clip the 9, and the 4 would actually come towards the 5. So I'm a little surprised he didn't go for the swing. Pretty good hide, except he did leave the kick. And now is the time you go for that kick cheese. He needs to swerve it just a little bit. But if he catches the 4 thick... No, he caught it thin. Okay, so Marcello swings his cue ball 2 rails. Get down table for the 5. And as long as he lands not straight on the 5, potentially out from here. It's going to bump the 8. Is it going to be friendly? It is not. So, yeah, Marcello in this game, it's probably the 3rd time that inadvertently bumped an object ball that has removed the path of the ball that he needs. Well, I definitely just try to kick at the 5, maybe make it off the 9. Just caught it a little too thin. Alright, 5 to the 7 is not easy. Because you're kind of naturally moving towards the left here on this shot. You're kind of going to have to force the cue ball to go right and around the table, which means you have to hit harder. It's going to land short side, Yeah, nicely done. Accepting short side play and being able to execute that definitely shows your gamesmanship. He's kind of jacked up on this. Hits it smooth. Gonna need a little more power. Oh no, he landed way below the 8. Still could back cut this. Cue ball's gonna end up on the top side of the table, so just needs to make this shot. All right, nicely done, taking advantage. Michael Johnson currently up 7-5. Breaking off rack number 13. All right, Michael has been a little bit indecisive, breaking from the right, breaking from the left. He is now returning to the right side. I believe he will be returning to the left side after that break. Caught the 1, a little weird there. 6 and the 9 end up being tied up there. It was almost like he maybe accidentally loose racked himself there. Didn't quite get the spread that he wanted. But this is not an easy rack. I think I just sort of bank this 1 towards the side pocket, but want it to hit below. Yeah, he ends up leaving the 1. So you bank the 1 towards the side pocket and leave the cue ball above table. 1 hits just below the side pocket, kind of ends up near the 7. That way you have the 2 and the 8 as a blocker. Now this one, I don't mind Mike hitting the 1 very thin and kind of sending the cue ball between the 5-4, but I think he's going to try to send the 1 between the 5 and 4. This works too. So Marcello going to have to break out the short stick, jump over the 4 ball. All right, so those of you who want to play some tournaments coming up here at Ox Billiards, we do have a doubles tournament September 12th and 13th. 11:25 and under Scotch doubles 9-ball. There's going to be 32 teams. Race to 9 on the A side, race to 7 on the B side. Finals will be a race to 11. You can contact Secret Wong if you are interested, or Nico, but $225 entry, 200 robustness required for each player. That one should be pretty good. There'll also be a 615 and under World Cup style tournament here at Ox. That will be September 26th and 27th. That'll be a round robin format. So there will be 8 groups of 4 players. There'll be a race to 7. $180 entry. That will also be 9-ball. You may contact Secret Wong or Nico Butt for entry on those 2 tournaments here at Ox Billiards. So grab a partner for the doubles, 11:25 and under, you know. Race to 9 on the A side, that's pretty smooth. Oh, Marcello accidentally making the 7 off of that 2. So now I'm going to have to shoot the 2. Steph asking in the chat if those matches will be streamed at the tournament. I'm pretty sure they will. I will be out of town for the 12th and the 13th, the doubles tournament, but I'm sure there'll be people around to stream that one. And then for the 615 and under, I might just play that one. I don't know. We'll see. I'm nowhere near 615, but you know, I feel like experience is always a good thing. Oh, that was almost so good. So Marcello just barely missing that 2 ball. So Mike dialed in here. Just needs to make this 5 past the 9. It's pretty close. It barely passes. Just needs to make sure he hits it smooth. Yeah, Mike is in the zone right now. He knows he's 1 game away to getting onto the hill. This shot is going to be a little tricky. So he wants to draw this back. Just make sure that he hits the pocket pure. No rattle. going to land on the left side of the 9. Handled it real nice. All right, Mike Johnson first to the hill in this race to 9. He's currently up 8-5. Yeah, that was a very solid run out from Mike. Really took advantage there. All right. 6, lower right corner. The 1 looks like it might barely pass the 8 in the lower left corner. Yeah, James with the closest prediction so far. Really depends if Mike... Yeah, that was going to be difficult. The 1 barely passed the 8, but I think if he maybe slow rolled it just a little bit more and caught that long rail just a little bit longer, the 1 would have gone, but caught it a little too high. Marcello now can make this 1, just needs to kind of swing around the 8. But maybe going for the kick. This is also a good option, but he does need to go long rail first if he kicks top to bottom. Okay, he's going to look through the window between the 2 and the 9. This will be pretty slick if he can make the shot. Oh, Marcello. Excellent kick. Landed just barely on the underside of the 2. But there's a really good save here where you bank the 2 to that lower right rail closest diamond here to the pocket. And you send the cue ball up towards the 3. I know he's looking at the cut, but if you just park this 2 on the short rail middle diamond and you bring the cue ball up towards the 3, Mike's going to have a really hard look at the cue and the 2, so see what he does. Oh, he went for it. Handled it exquisitely. Little straight on 3 has a little bit of an angle. Just enough to get out. Take the 4 on the lower left corner. All right, well, Marcello may be accepting the purple Urkel cheese here. The old 5-9 combo. Yeah, I would just hit this middle ball. You don't need a ton of power. You definitely don't want the 9 to rattle. Yeah. On the other hand, you don't want to soft hit that combo, but I think power-wise, it was just a little too hard. It's kind of a happy medium that you could find there on that combo. I mean, Mike could win this right now. A little bit of a two-way. You make the 5 and you draw off of it to shoot the 9 towards the corner. But he missed the 5. Focused a little bit too much on the leave. And this is actually pretty good shape here for a Marcello. Yeah, landed a little steep here, but if I'm Marcello, just let your stroke out. You've got plenty of table to work with to get above the 8, so basically just hit this with a little bit of maybe like 7 o'clock. He's going to go top. This is fine. I was going to say if you wanted to swing the cue ball, you could, but found a pretty good path here. Hit this with a little bit of bottom right. You land right side of the 9 ball. Take the 9 in the top left corner. I was going to overhit it though. Yeah, I overhit it. Pretty much landed 50-50. Almost. Maybe more like 51-49. But he is going to try to cut this. Top left. Okay, he missed, but this is not the easiest cut. But, you know, with Mike being on the hill, way less pressure on this shot than you would normally expect. Obviously, you know, there's still some nerves here with making this, but when you're on the hill, kind of different. And he just hit it a little too thick. It's not bad. Leaves the cue ball on the rail. Leaves a pretty long shot in the top right corner here for Marcello. Oh, and he just barely rattles it. Yeah, unfortunately, this cue ball coming off the rail as it is. MJ, pretty clear 9 here. Oh, he also missed. No. Oh. Well. Misses the top right. Rattles in the lower right. And now Marcello is up. Take this 9. Hey, well, Steph, your son was right. And Marcello hanging on here. It's currently 8-6. Ready to break off rack number 15. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Zach Ross in the booth here at Ox Billiards. Really appreciate y'all tuning in to these matches. Always get to see some good play. I really like to see how players approach certain shots. I think it helps with my game. Hopefully it helps with yours. I'm pretty familiar with the player being down in the rack and how much pressure that is, but there is something about making a comeback that feels really good. This is a bit of a confidence booster to be playing from behind while your opponent sits on the hill. So we shall see. Yeah, James, I like how your name has changed to Jim Stradamus. Excellent safety here from Mike. Just parking that cue ball right behind the 3. Didn't leave a little bit of a kick here. Marcello gonna have to go 2 rails to get this 1. Probably with a little bit of masse as well. I mean, chat, I will say that Jameson and Steph are very close in their accurate match predictions. I would say that both of them very frequently call out a match that's pretty close to what the score ends up being. So Marcello going to intentionally foul here. He wanted to snooker that 7 on the 8 a little bit more, but man, there's so many balls in play now. Mike could consider the 3 foul. Sort of a very rare opportunity. But if he can freeze this cue ball right behind the 2. Yeah. So Marcello just going to need to aim just to the left of the point. Maybe even turn this with a little bit of inside right. Okay, so he misses the 1. So he is currently on 2 fouls. Now, if I'm Mike, I think I make the 1 and the 2 and the 3. And then try to play safe with the 4. But he really needs to flick this 1 above the 8. So if he was going to go that way, yeah, I think I make the 1 and the 2. and might be able to play easy safe on the 4, but toilet 9-ball combo right now. Yeah, let's just rip a 1-9 combo. Okay, it's looking pretty good. So, as long as he can find the window for the 4, he may be able to play safe on it. But at this point, the rack is also looking pretty good for the run out. So I don't know if you necessarily want to play safe here. Yeah, and I feel like hiding the cue ball on this 4 might be a little touchy, so I think going for the run out is good. He still has that 2 foul in his back pocket if he wants to use it. Because he landed kind of thin on this 5. Potentially an opportunity, but there's still not a lot of coverage down table. So if you are going to play that safe here, it's I feel like Marcello's chances of hitting the 5 are pretty high. Unless he gets there. He needs to tell him that he's on 2, though. So I think Marcello knows that he's on 2 fouls. Not sure if it was vocalized. It's pretty important. If Mike did not let him know that he's on 2 fouls, then potentially this would still go on. But I think Marcello knows the stakes here. And knows he needs to make contact. All right, yeah. Our correspondent in the room, Jameson, thank you for letting us know. Yeah, letting him know 3 shots ago. I think the preferred way is to let them know when they're returning to the table for the 3rd foul, just because you make a few shots in between the 2nd and potential 3rd foul. It's not fresh in your opponent's mind, so typically sort of the standard thing is to let them know when they're approaching the table on their 3rd foul, but that's all moot point now because he made a legal contact, hits the 5. Yeah, Becca, I agree. You have to do it right before they go back to the table. So Marcello escaping the 3 foul. Michael barely missing the 5. Yeah, toilet, I agree with you. Most players should know that they're on 2 fouls, but just from experience, it's not always the case, especially when I've done this a couple times where I force a foul out of somebody and then I make a couple shots and then I play another safe and then they get a foul and then I make a couple shots, and I play safe. And for some reason, when a player is making a few balls in between the second and third foul, opponents conveniently forget that they are on 3 fouls. But yeah, I agree with you. People should know where they're at in the game. All right, so Mike lands short side on the 6. I'm going to try to trigger this in the top right corner. Oh, it ends up playing safe. Oh, no, it's going to leak. Yeah, that would have been pretty sweet, just hiding the 6 between the 7 and the 8. Really good safety opportunity here for Marcello now. Basically just thin the 6, send the cue ball above the 7-8. Don't have to do too much. Yeah, nicely done. Yeah, toilet, I agree, dude. I feel like, yeah. More often than not, people are very aware of what is happening in the rack, but sometimes you do come across a player who just wants that slight advantage without you being explicit about the rules. So I like to just be err on the side of caution, if you will. Jump opportunity here for Mike. Excellent. This is a nice try at the safe, but this 7's going long. All right, Marcello banks the 7 into the pocket closest to him, lands pretty smooth on that 8. And if you know Marcello, he loves banks. Just talking with him earlier today, he is planning to go to Derby City to play bank in one pocket. So, anyone else interested in going to Derby City, let me know. I think I'm going to be trying to go there for my first time in January if I can swing it, play 9-ball and bank. I love me some banks myself, so why not give it a go? All right, Marcello's sizing up the tangent line here. Just wants to make sure that he lands good on the 9. I think the thing about this shot is that you kind of have to, like, fade it. So you're doing the back cut, but you also need the cue ball to land sort of this left corner between the second and first diamond on the left rail. Or if you want to shoot a little bit harder, you do need that cue ball to come out, so you can take the 9 in the top left corner. Oh, he just drilled it. Oh, look at this. He's going to land pretty good on the 9. Taking a long look. Making sure he has the line correct. And Marcello Girardi not going down without a fight. 8-7. Yeah, Toilet, you can't be making predictions now. You can't be changing. It's too close to the end. It's too close to the end. I mean, you did say 9-7 earlier. All right, I'll give that to you. You said that a couple racks ago. Let's see, who else predicted? All right, Steph with the 9-8 for Mike. Marcello, 9-7. All right, that one's out. Mike, 9-7 from Dean. That one's still in play. Yeah, Martin, I agreed. He just lasered that 9. Okay. Yeah, you're good. True. 9-7 the whole time. I see it. Scrolling back through chat. Quick little bathroom break for all of us. Be right back. All right, folks, thank you all for tuning in this evening or afternoon or morning, wherever you are in the world. Here at Ox Billiards, it is currently 9:50 p.m. Michael Johnson currently on the hill, 8-7 versus Marcello. If you're new to the channel, hit the like, hit the subscribe, ring the bell as well. be notified when we go live. Share with a friend, share with a family member, anyone else you know that loves pool. Appreciate y'all's support here. If you're feeling extra generous, check out the description in this video. There is a link to our Venmo. Any donations go directly back to the club to keep up the equipment. The money does not go to me, so if you think I'm doing a terrible job, well, money does not go to me, so. Alright, Marcello with the break here. A little bit dry. A little bit dry. Leaves the one pretty wide open. Mike, you're just going to need to find the window between the 4-6 or send this cue ball to the outside of the 6 to get below the 2. He does not get enough action on the cue ball. Hit a little too thick. Maybe not too much power. Might be able to clip the 2 here. Oh, wild 9. Okay, this opens up the rack. If Marcello is not feeling aggressive, there's plenty of balls to hide behind the cue ball. Hide that cue above the 6-7. Bring the 2 down on the short rail. Kind of feel like you can go two-way here. You can go for the bank and also bring the cue ball up table. Yeah, just like that. Pretty much no matter where the cue ball lands in this circumstance. Mike doesn't have the clearest look at the 2. You're gonna have to go short rail, kick. Oh no, he missed the 2 completely. Now Marcello could go for a 3 foul of his own here. You could basically bank the 2 above the 8 and you bring the cue ball and try to nestle it up onto the 4. But I think he's looking for a run out here. I kind of like entertaining the 3 foul just because of all the traffic in the middle of the table. But completely understand you just want to go on the offense here. You don't want to bring your opponent back to the table too much. Okay, landed good on the 3, but he is on the rail. So he will have to settle for trying to land the cue ball into that window between the 7 and the 9. So he'll have to accept a longer shot on the 4. This particular shot, because he is already hitting on the top of the cue ball, he actually doesn't need to do too much here. Kind of natural angle brings you into that window. So he just barely rattles this 4. And I'm not quite sure. Looks like Mike may be able to make this 4. It's going to be pretty thin here. Okay, nicely handled. All right, Mike getting down to work here. Knows the end is nigh. And here it is. 9-ball right side pocket.
Good match, man.
And there it is, 9-7. Michael Johnson winning this match over Marcello Girardi. Looks like Dean Johnson made the first prediction for 9-7. Toilet also made the prediction 9-7 pretty early in this match.
I'm gonna go drink.
So congratulations to you both
Yeah, I don't really play action
for
matches that much, so
sensing
this is my
the
adrenaline
waves
pumping,
of the match.
everything I've
And
usually don't really
thank you all for tuning in.
play for anything.
Again,
Play $50,
Zach
$40.
Ross
So this was nice just to
in the
like
booth here at Ox Billiards. Thank you all so much. Really appreciate y'all hanging out tonight with me. Yeah, check out some of our other matches in the playlist. And see you in the next one. Have a good one.